We're going to be very quiet because we're not sure if we're actually live. We're going to check our stream, see how far behind we are. Hopefully, Conductor Office Hours number 5, congratulations on making 5 rounds of this.
Yes.
Is truly live. We're just checking. If you are watching, thank you. I'm going to go to YouTube and figure out why the embed is not showing the recent show. This is all done live on the air, people. Where is my Twitter?
We are live, I'm hearing.
I'm hearing Dan yelling from the other room that we are live.
We're live. All right. Cool. What a great intro.
That was the best intro ever. Even though it's not showing it live on the landing page, conductorplugin.com/COH. Now it is. Now it's live.
We're good.
Very good. This is a professional show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to number 5. I'm going to tweet that out. Conductor Office Hours. If we haven't lost you yet, thanks for sticking around. What are we going to do today? We're going to talk about recent updates in the Conductor world. If you are a Conductor customer, thank you very much. If you're building out awesome sites using Conductor, like I know many of you are, Jason and Lisa, and others out in the Conductor community, send us your sites. We want to see what you're building with Conductor. We want to see how you're building it. We've introduced, we haven't done any core updates to Conductor in this last 2 weeks or so, but we did introduce the plugin that we teased in the last episode, which was Note, which is freely available, wordpress.org/plugins/note. You can grab that there, and what that is a simple text widget that you can use and edit in the front-end customizer of WordPress. So no more, guessing in the back end of your WordPress dashboard when you're putting in a text widget as basic as it is. Sometimes you might put in 200 words and it just might not look good in your theme, but you don't know that because you're in the dashboard. Go to the front and hit refresh and kind of see it again, but why not just edit your content live in the front-end customizer, just like we do with Conductor for content layouts? Just edit your text right there. It's a whole heck of a lot easier.
And you get a little bit more than that, than just what a standard text widget gives you. Instead of having to know HTML and putting it in there, we actually have a WYSIWYG editor for you. So you can add your headings, you can add bold font, links.
Yep. So that's really great. And what we want to do is we want to demo that to you. If I'm conducting 2 computers at the same time is what I'm doing. So I'm going to switch over to my laptop and do a quick demo of how we use that. If you are a faithful reader to the Conductor blog, conductorplugin.com/blog, let me just switch the camera to my laptop. If you're a faithful reader of the blog, you will know that I published 2 posts that actually use Conductor and Note together, and the first one I'll show you today is the Chris Lemma demonstration. So let me go ahead and share that screen. Give this a second. Now, what I did in this blog post article, my good friend James Dahlman has been telling me, Matt, I love Conductor, I use Conductor, but I think you need to tell people how to sell Conductor, right? Or what can Conductor do for their business that they can bring to the table for client work, for their custom services, to say, I can make a little bit more money because of Conductor. Well, the easy answer to that is, number one, it just cuts out a whole bunch of development time, right, from building custom layouts and content displays. Again, we get lumped into the page building category. Cool with it. If you want to say we're a page builder, that's perfectly fine. But we dive deeper into displaying specific pieces of content, and you can move them around like a page builder, but we're not introducing new technology that a lot of page builders are doing. We're just using WordPress, right? We're putting content into widgets that you can so happen to move up and down and build a page layout.
Very true.
So what was the need for that? So James, to answer your question, how can this help your business? How can this, as a consultant, how can this help your client's business? We take a look at this demo. If you're a daily blogger like a Chris Lemma, many of you in the audience already know who he is, prolific WordPress daily blogger. He has your typical category page, right? This is not a bad thing. This is just how WordPress works out of the box. It's perfectly fine, but we can take it a step further with Conductor. Mm-hmm. So your typical category page, you have whatever you've set, your 10 most recent blog posts for that business category, for that news category. In this example, in that e-learning course category, right? But if you're a daily blogger, you got 300 and some odd pieces of content by the end of the year. Even if you don't do it every single day, you're doing it almost every day, you're looking at almost 300 pieces of content. And forget it, if somebody comes to your site 2 years after daily blogging, you might have 600-700 pieces of content that people have to sift through. How do they find the content you want them to find? Because let's be honest, not every piece of a category archive landing page, right? So let's just take a look at what that is. Conductor just sits on top of your category page. In Chris's example, it's the e-learning category, and we're giving it a full width layout. I'll explain why we give it a full width layout, but you can give it whatever layout you want. Content sidebar, sidebar content, or just a full width content. And I've dropped in a few elements here. Of course, the first one is our beloved Notes plugin, or Note plugin, but I'm going to skip that for right now. And what I've done is I've said, let's just show the 3 most recent blog posts of e-learning right across the top. There's less scrolling. Those are the 3 most recent. You could pick the 3 most, your 3 most favorite, or your 3 favorite pieces of content and put that on the top if you wanted to.
Or popular.
If you
check out your analytics.
If you check out your analytics and put that up there, you can do that. And oh, by the way, you know, if you want to have 3 across, no problem. If you want to do a medium layout, you can play with it and find the right size for you. You can go back to large, and you can have the big, large scrolling content. You just tell Conductor what pieces of content you want to show. And at any point along the way, you can fine-tune your landing page by clicking a couple buttons, right? We scroll down a little bit further. Let's just move out of this widget. We'll do Note again, but I'm going to save that one for last. We recently announced integration with WooCommerce, right? Yeah. So now we can pull in WooCommerce product, right? And not only can we pull in WooCommerce product, but we can specify which fields in WooCommerce that we want to show. And in this example, I'm going to show the featured image, of course, which Chris has a learning course called Sticky Teaching, and I'm only showing the price and add to cart button, and add to cart fields, right? But at any point, I can say things like, you know, don't miss this deal, and I can overwrite the sort of out-of-the-box WooCommerce experience of the Buy Now button, right? So you can do that. You can move it around if you want. You can put it above price if that's where you wanted it. You can really fine-tune these types of elements, right, inside of Conductor, which otherwise you would need to spend some time building your own template, calling up a developer.
Yeah.
Spending a few hours tweaking this stuff, if not maybe a couple $100 to have a developer create these landing pages for you. And then at the bottom of this we have just the regular list of blog posts, right? Here's the rest of my blog posts in this category. Go nuts and find it. The idea here is we're not just throwing somebody at a category archive page and saying, good luck. You know, sift through this content. We'll see you, you know, on the other side.
You've segmented it for them. They're able to find, again, either your most recent or most popular or favorite content on the top. Then your courses, if that's you know, what you're going for in your WooCommerce products. I especially liked in the article that you wrote too the pixel length of scrolling. And again, nothing against Chris at all. It's just how WordPress works with the category archive. You have, you know, all of your posts in the loop, and however many posts per page you're showing. So you went from, I think, like 9,000 down to 2,000 or 3,000 pixels, and that could make a big difference for somebody trying to find a certain piece of content.
That's right. So here's how you're positioning Conductor for your clients, especially if you're in that really consultant role where you're not only helping them develop and design these things, but you're telling them about content marketing, landing pages, conversion rates, you know, optimization. If you're getting into that stuff, this is a great article, conductorplugin.com/content marketing landing pages that daily bloggers love. Go ahead and check that out. So I do a quick wireframe, much like we're doing with client services stuff. What are we gonna achieve in this? Well, we want to have our unique value proposition at the top. We want to put our most recent pieces of content. We want to put a product call to action. So I outline that. And when we look at what Scott was talking about, if I can find that in the article, the original length of Chris's archive page was 8,300 pixels of scrolling, right? You can kind of see that right here in this page. It's a lot of scrolling. There's no unique call to action to this category. There's the sidebar on the right-hand side where you just throw in your general call to actions like this is going to show up across my entire site. But what we're doing here is saying we're going to make a landing page specifically for e-learning, right? And that's where the Note plugin really comes into play, because we can build these layouts with Conductor. We can say, let's drop in that content that we want for that archive page or product or whatever. But how do we sort of give it some context? How do we give this content some context, right? We use Note. And because we're doing everything in the front end, these aren't like pages you're building in the back end, I want to be able to add some text here, right? So Note allows us to just drop that text in. And folks should see this on the live feed. When I highlight this text, I've got a little editor that, a little style editor that pops up. Drop in a call to action here, right? And at any point, I can just select that and move it to the left, to the right. I can center it. I can give it a link if I wanted to. I can give it different headings and paragraph styles if I wanted to. I can do the same thing down here. It just makes it a little bit easier to start adding content live in your front end, right? It's gonna spice up all these little content sections, right? If you're making an about page or a get started here page, and you're like, here's the 3 blog posts I want you to read, here's the 3 courses I made, and you're using Conductor to grab that, Note is a great way to kind of dress it up.
Goes hand in hand, allows you to create those sort of segments of different content and let the user know, like, hey, the content's changed below, here's what it is, here's my courses, here's my most recent blog posts or pages or anything like that. So
yep. Jeff Chandler from WP Tavern looked at Note, posted it on over WP Tavern, checked it out. One of the things he said was, well, I really wanted to see the widget title displayed much like every other widget. When we approached it, we said, well, we're not gonna display a title because we don't want that to get in the way. Like, we just want a pure writing experience. Like, we want you to be able to come over here. We want you to be able to come over here and drop in a widget, a Note widget, and just start writing, right?
Yep.
This is going to drop us down to the bottom, but we just want, start writing text here, right? We didn't want anything in the way.
Yeah, and we wanted you to be able to style your content how you might like it.
Yep.
And with the widget title, that there could have been some issues with that. We would have had to accommodate that, but we are thinking about that. We're taking that feedback in, and may eventually add it in the future. For now, you can use it as like a label to label these widgets, so you can know within the customizer sort of what this Note widget does.
Yeah. Yeah. So this just acts as a label. That's all it does. It doesn't output it. But you can, just like with Conductor, go in and drop in a CSS class if you want to style this text a different way. If your design sort of caters to that. And that's what we're doing with Note. So we find it a great complementary product, or plugin, I should say, to the Conductor product. And yeah.
If you're a developer, you can find it on GitHub.
That's right.
You can report any issues there to the issues tracker. We have a couple in the queue. You can take a look at that. More features coming, probably some maybe images, Matt, some lists, stuff like that, probably in some future versions.
That's right. So if you do have questions, we're about halfway through today's show. If you have questions, you can hashtag Conductor plugin and drop that in Twitter, and we'll get those questions answered for you. That's hashtag Conductor plugin. We'll get those questions answered for you. Scott, you want to go into looking at our latest feature that's coming out?
Yeah.
Or enhancement to Conductor?
Yeah, definitely.
If that's the way you want to call it. I'm going to shift over the video feed to you. And basically what this is something that, we work with any theme, right? Mm-hmm. First and foremost, we drop in Conductor into the loop or over the loop. We've got our own loop, whatever you want to say. There are different ways that you can approach this, and we work with any theme. One of the things that we do is we inherit styles from the theme, right? We want to stay away from having you design a site and let the theme dictate that. Every so often, in the case of very popular themes that we test on, like Make, made by the folks over at Theme Foundry, the Headings might come in a little too small. It depends on where we pick it up along the way on the CSS. The H1 might not look the same in our plugin. And it was very, very minor times that this would show up, and very minor edits. Like if you were building a site, you just might go in and give the Conductor widget a specific class, change the font size. No big deal, right? And now we're going to revolutionize.
You don't have to do that.
We are going to revolutionize the experience with that.
Yes.
In an upcoming update. We don't know when yet. But I'm going to shift over the camera to Scott's computer,
All right.
and he will show you, that's mine, and he will show you what we have going on.
Awesome.
If you have questions, you can also do it in the Q&A portion of the YouTube channel if you're watching it there.
Very true. So, yeah, what we have here is definitely sort of an alpha version of this, but you can see in Make we have medium Conductor widgets set up, and the font size is a little bit small. We may want to tweak it here or there, and as Matt said before, we could, add a CSS class, or not even. We could just target all Conductor widgets and adjust those accordingly. But we now have the ability on the left-hand side, if you take a look at the customizer, you see that we have the ability to adjust these different areas as far as font size and font family. We're just going to show you the font size demo right now, but basically out of the box what we're saying is Conductor widgets, go ahead and output the title at about 1.5 times the size of the body font, and then author byline is about 85% of that, so on and so forth. Anyway, we can go in and we can really tweak these titles to better match what sort of Make should look like. So we do support Conductor across all themes out there that are coded properly and whatnot, but there are going to be these little discrepancies that hopefully this little update will fix. So I'll go in here and I'll go ahead and just bump up the font size of the title, and you can see immediately I'm already getting a larger size. So I just made it a little bit larger there. Can go ahead and tweak this down to the fine tuning here. That's 1.72 times the size. And then we have like the content font size. We can bump that up. So this is 1.25 size. And then read more as well. We could do the author byline. We can either make it larger or smaller depending on what we need. Right now the read more is at about 1.5%, 1.5 times rather. But we could make that smaller. We could make it only 50%. That's probably going to be almost non-existent. But you can take a look and really fine-tune the display of these widgets within a particular sidebar. So any other Conductor widgets that I put inside of a Conductor sidebar will inherit these same styling for this particular sidebar. So you're able, again, to really tweak that and say, you might say, the font size is a couple pixels off, I just need to bump it up or bump it down. You can go ahead and do that now right within the customizer. Again, this is in the works, and we don't know when it's going to be released, but definitely some pretty cool stuff to really get that like 99, almost 100% feel.
We're still not, look, I mean, really what we're doing is we're just, hopefully what we're saying with all this is we're nudging your theme along, right?
Yeah.
We're not really saying you can start from the ground up and go ahead and figure out, like I always say this, your margins, your paddings, and font family across the board. You're certainly not starting from scratch when you're using Conductor. You're hopefully dropping it inside a theme and letting the theme dictate the majority. But then when you want to sort of make these landing pages and tweak it just a bit, we'll give you some of these options to do that.
Yeah.
So that you can get it 100% right, because we can't. Anybody who says they're 100% compatible with the theme.
Yeah, that's pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Nearly impossible.
They're selling you some snake oil, right? Definitely, be aware of that. And also, what we're doing here is not giving you the whole kitchen sink, just half of the kitchen sink, the one that's always clean, not the one that has all the dishes in it, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully that nudges the styling along just a little bit to make it more compatible with the themes that you're using it on.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest challenge so far with working with the WordPress customizer? I know you've been doing a lot of articles that a lot of the developers are really enjoying using the front-end customizer, but what are the challenges that you've found dealing with that?
The biggest challenge for us was, and still sort of is, and we'll fine tune this for sure, is the fact that when we add a new conductor layout, we need to get those new sidebars into the customizer. Eventually, they'll be all dynamic through JavaScript. At least that's what's on the roadmap for the future. However, at this point in time, we have to give a refresh to the entire customizer window. The reason behind that is because when the customizer loads, it loads all of the registered sidebars, but when we add a new conductor layout, we've then added potentially 3 more sidebars at this point that the customizer doesn't know about. The previewer window will know about them because that refreshes once you update the settings, but the customizer stays, basically, I guess you could call it stateless. It's there. When you do update a setting, it sends it over to the previewer, but everything in the customizer is pretty static once it's loaded. There are some JavaScript calls for widgets and everything to show and hide those panels, but no new widget sections and whatnot are added. So that's definitely been the biggest challenge so far, is getting those newly registered sidebars to show up. And for now, we refresh the customizer and they do show up, but in the future we'll dynamically add those via JavaScript. It'll be a much more seamless experience, and you won't even notice it.
Yeah, one of the things that we were kicking around while we were developing this technology for editing the styles in Conductor widget via the WordPress customizer is, do we open source this technology? Do we turn it into a boilerplate, a framework? I hate the F word. Do we? And Tom McFarlane actually posted a great piece today about the F word. So I encourage you to head over there and check that out. But one of the things that we were thinking of is, do we make this open source and release it on GitHub so that other folks can bring in their style editing options into the customizer? That way you don't have to learn the customizer. For free, you can absorb it from us after we've already spent all the cost of dealing with the customizer. Yeah. So we might do something like that. If I hear some interested feedback on folks that say, you know what, I'm designing a theme, I'd love to bring in customizer options to my clients, and I just don't even want to dive into having to figure this stuff out like you guys have. If we kind of hear some of that interest, it's something that we would definitely consider throwing it up on GitHub so that you can have access to it. So do let us know about that. I think it's going to be a short episode today because we got a lot of work to do. If you have any other questions, we'll be around for 1 more minute. You can hashtag Conductor plugin. What's next? What are you going to cover on the next blog post for the front-end customizer?
Let's see. We do have a Quirks mode post that's going to go out. We did mention that in the last episode, some of the fixes. As far as the customizer goes, we're going to talk about they're making some big changes in 4.1 as far as interacting with that. So we'll have to update Conductor. We're staying ahead of the curve on that. But we'll talk about actually opening up some panels and whatnot with those helper buttons that we added. Right. Because we talked about adding the helper buttons and sort of, sending over a custom event and whatnot. Now we need to actually, instead of just, logging that data and whatnot, we want to make sure that you can go ahead and actually utilize these. So we'll give you an example of sort of how to go about opening up some panels or doing other things like maybe even dynamically selecting a conductor layout from the previewer. Yep. So definitely looking forward to getting that post out. Should be pretty interesting. Like I said, with the 4.1 stuff, we're going to have to tweak the code that we have in Conductor and also on this demo, but that will be pretty neat.
That's great. I can't wait.
Awesome. Me neither.
All right, everybody, you know the drill. If you want to stay connected, it's conductorplugin.com/blog. We show up here, I don't know,
almost every Thursday.
Almost every Thursday.
Once a month.
Not next Thursday. It's Thanksgiving. But we'll definitely keep it maybe every couple of weeks. Yeah. You don't want to hear us blabbing about Conductor all the time. So every 2 weeks might be a good amount. If you ever have any questions about Conductor, it's conductorplugin.com/contact. Send us a question. Tweet at Matt Medeiros, at Matt Report, at Slogan Studio, at Scott. Ask us your questions about Conductor. If it's right for your project, we will let you know. Stay in touch. I don't know. I got nothing else.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
I guess.
Thanksgiving to those in the States. All right, everybody.
Yes.
Till next time. Sorry for the introduction in the beginning, but we were just making sure that we actually knew how to use the internet.
And I think we do.
And I think we do by now. God, I hope so. All right, everybody. Till next time. We'll
Take
see you
care.
in a couple weeks.